tend to look and be very different like me. For me, before I'm a futurist, I'm a future researcher. So I've been living nomadically as a full-time digital nomad for the past 6 years, traveling the world, trying to find where the futures are at. And I'm trying to look beyond the technological hubs of sort of Silicon Valley or media hubs of sort of New York, Hollywood, London. And I try to find signatures, signs, and traces of where things could be going beyond just science and technology. You know, for me, what's very, very interesting is also cultural, political, social innovation or regressive tendencies. And it's kind of really how scientific and technological innovation interplays with them. My big focus is actually in the global south. I've been spending recently a lot of time on the African continent, and hopefully I can bring in, weave in some of the stories from there. And just yesterday, actually, we had a conversation with a friend of mine, and especially how we talk about the future of cities, right? Most of the time, future of cities are exemplified by cities such as Amsterdam or Copenhagen or Stockholm. Whenever the conversation about smart cities comes up, these are used as an example. But how much of the world is like that? So I firmly believe that futures will be made in places like Sao Paulo, La Ciudad de Mexico, Jakarta, Bombay, Nairobi, Lagos. And there's so much to be learned between each of them. Because the problems and issues are quite similar, yet different cultural backgrounds could give different solutions. So I'm trying to be at the bleeding edge of it all, not be like this picture, and kind of go and find things really while they're happening, and look into really what all of the kind of innovation is at. You know, so things like that interest me. You know, cultural traditions and how they interplay with the way we use technology. And things like that especially interest me. This is work by my friend Cordeja Tafa Henry, and he's kind of reimagining, he's a British Jamaican director, and he's reimagining what could be that future where African diaspora meets the wealth of the African continent and how they could be creating new futures together. Empowering these kind of projects that reimagine how we even just talk about the future is really important for me. Oh, oops. And before I go into that, you know, another kind of important thing about maybe the slight difference between me and futurism in general, there's a great article, Know Thy Futurist. You might want to note down to get a bigger kind of scope about, you know, the categories of futurists. I heard yesterday there was a mention of corporate futurists, so it's one of them. I don't really fit within any of those categories. I sort of live in the weird space in between. And one of the things that I firmly believe is that there is no one future. Only possible futures. There are no answers, only choices. And so we are shaping these futures today and every day. And not just with our actions, but also with our inaction. So us thinking that future happens in Silicon Valley or future of cities happens in Copenhagen makes it be so. Right? We have to think that our apathy and our thinking